Hey people, so the next few assignments are just exercises in how to manipulate text within GRAVIT. So just like these are just letters that I changed to a path and then manipulated in a few different ways. Here are some more examples, but let's just get started. You're only going to do four. So like this, we're just going to put four letters on your composition, duplicate each, and then change the duplicate to a path, and then you can move around the anchor points to create kind of different designs out of text or your letters. So you want to think about design and kind of like one letter logos. You don't want to just do it haphazardly. You want to make something that looks kind of visually appealing. Here's some other examples. Again, all I'm really doing is changing it to a path and then moving around the anchor points and even like changing some of the joints. So let's just start. You have a blank canvas. It's 8.5 tall by 11 wide, and that'll fit four letters. So up here is the text tool. Here's the T, and you just click it, and things over here change. But you're really just going to drag out a text box, and you can see over here in the appearances, you have your different fonts. You have font sizes. Where'd they go? So I'm just trying to change this font size. So I'm gonna change it to 100 and just pick any letter. I'm gonna pick a T and a T. There we go. And so pick an interesting font. Ones that are thicker are a little bit more fun to work with for this. So I'm just gonna pick this one. And I'm going to do that a couple times. I'm gonna get another letter, drag out a text box, and change the font. Again, I like things that are thick. So I'm just gonna get that one, and let's do a Y. And do another one. Whoops, text box. We might have to switch to deselect, and then another text box, and so an A. Pick four different fonts, just so you get used to using and seeing what different fonts kind of look like. Well, that one's kind of neat. All right, I'm gonna do one more. And let's do an R and change it, the font or the typeface. Just do this. Okay, great. So that's a regular text. You can't really edit it. If you hit the sub select tool, you're not really going to be able to do much with it. So we're going to duplicate it and then change it to a path with this little button right here. So for each of these, just so you see what the original looks like, you just scoot it over a tiny little bit and then duplicate each one. So I'm just grabbing, like clicking and then dragging while holding Option to duplicate. So now I have a duplicate of the T, or you can select it, go Command C, Command V to paste it, and then move it over. And then this one, I'm just holding down Option, duplicating, holding down Option, and duplicating. So these duplicates are really what we're going to work with. We're just going to leave the letter right there for now. So once you have your duplicate and you're ready to go, you select it, make sure that text box is around it, and then come over here where it says Convert to Path, and it converts to path. You may need to change to the sub-select tool. If you're just on the pointer tool, it just looks kind of normal, and you can like resize it. Whereas if you're working with just the text and you try resizing, you're not resizing the text, you're resizing the text box. So if you wanted to resize the actual text, it would be the size, the point size over here. But as soon as you change it to a path, you really can't like go back and change it to text and like add more text to it later. So you want to be kind of careful and deliberate if you're like designing a poster. But for our purposes, you make your duplicate, change to a path, and then use the sub-select tool right here, and you can manipulate these points. You can move them up, move them down, move them all around, make it symmetrical. You can also select, let me see if I can zoom in for you. You can also select multiple anchor points. Like I'll select both of these down here just by clicking and dragging. And now I have 2 anchor points selected, and I can move those 2 together. All right, you can also add anchor points just by hovering over the edge of your path. You just click on it, so that little icon comes up, and you can add anchor points, and then you can move those anchor points and continue. Just to make some kind of like interesting variation by manipulating those anchor points. So again, let's just do it over here. I'm just going to leave that regular text and select this one, change to a path. And now you see I have all these anchor points to kind of mess around with and play with. Just going to hit V for the regular selection tool and enlarge this a little bit. And then hit D for the sub-select tool and maybe select some of these anchor points, drag them out. You can change, the handles, the direction handles. Try to make this side kind of puffy. So be creative, come up with your own designs, but this is how you can like really kind of switch up and change the design of a letter or text with a vector program. Looks kind of like a dinosaur. All right, so let's keep going. Got this guy over here. That's my duplicate. I'm going to just convert it to a path and then hit V just to resize it. Hold down Shift while I'm dragging those. If these ever get in your way, if anything ever gets in your way and you're accidentally selecting it, just come over here and lock it, and then you won't just be able to select it. And now you can go back and with your text or your letter converted to a path, you can hit D, and that is when you really have control over these anchor points. If you have like too many anchor points, you can just select them and delete them. You can cut off pieces, the anchor points. Again, you can select multiple anchor points, move them around. And you can also change the joint of the anchor points. So I'll zoom in and select this one right here, and the joints are over here. This one's right now coming to a point, but if you like mirror it, then you have these different handles that come up. You can be careful because sometimes you get like into these, they're actually like 2 anchor points. Like I think there's 2 here. So that might be something that could mess you up. Like there's multiple anchor points that are really close to each other. It might be kind of difficult to just grab one. So you like might have to select, like grab and drag out a selection instead of just like clicking one, because there's actually multiples in there. There's like 3 or 4. So again, like I'll do it over here. If you think you're gonna like move this one anchor point, it's actually 3 anchor points. So you can't just like click and drag. If you want to move all 3 together, you have to click and drag to select all of the anchor points within that selection and then move it. The other option is just pulling out 1, 2, 3, and then deleting those 2. All right, so let's go back out and see if we can do one more. Okay, so where is it? Here we go. So one more time, select the letter, come over here up top where it says convert to path. You convert it to a path, and then it's the sub-select tool, so you can manipulate each anchor point. So let's make this guy a little bit bigger for us. So I just resized it with the pointer tool, selection tool, and then to get and manipulate each anchor point, it's the sub-select tool. Whoops. And if you want to grab 2, or just like elongate some parts, just click and drag over multiple anchor points like this. click and drag to select multiple anchor points, and then you can just click on one of those anchor points and drag it down. All right, and you can also add anchor points. So just add anchor points, and then you can move them around. Oops. And again, be creative, come up with an interesting design that looks like it could be printed or part of a logo. You don't want to just do things haphazardly, like I feel like this is pretty sloppy. This is kind of okay. This is kind of interesting. So is this, but you can spend a lot of time coming up with different designs for text. So be creative and make something that's new and interesting. Boop. Okay, so that's basically it. Hope you have fun with this, and I'm excited to see what kind of things you can do just by converting a letter to a path and then changing around those anchor points.